I have three checkpoints, right? Liquidity, capital protection, and returns. So liquidity, they've absolutely checked. I've done it once. Capital protection, yes, they check the box because of the kind of investments and the diligence that they've done, and I've seen that over the years. And returns, of course, I mean, I have seen fantastic returns over the past 6 odd years. So yes, they check all the 3 boxes for me. Prescient Capital, I've known Sonal, of course, from ISB. Sonal and Anubhav, I've known them from a long time. They were also in private equity together when I was in private equity. I have always found them to be super smart guys. I think in 2018 is when they started Prescient Capital. They had come to meet me in Bhopal, and the first check of 25 lakhs is what I gave them. Of course, my portfolio has grown a lot. I mean, we have invested, reinvested, while the returns have been fantastic. We have also added on more money over the years, and now I think the portfolio is much larger than the initial check. That's kind of the story with Prescient Capital. So let me talk about pharma as a sector itself, right? Because that's something that I know. I've been in this sector for the last 15 odd years now. So every time they make an investment, or most times when they make an investment in a pharma company, I speak to them, they speak to me on a one-on-one basis, to ask me about the company and all of that. One of the things I've realized is that their investment process is very rigorous. Their metrics and filters that they have before they make an investment is super rigorous, to the extent that there was a time when I was planning to list my own company, Fordcaps Healthcare, in 2021 or 22 or something like that, and I called Sonal and asked him if Prescient Capital, and he said no. He said absolutely not. He said we don't invest in IPOs. We will, you can do an IPO, you stay listed for a short period of time, and then if you like the metrics, and then we'll come and invest. So the process is very rigorous, and they stick to what they're saying. Like when they're evaluating a company, right? So they look at promoter shareholding. If the promoter has pledged any of his shares, debt on the company, they're super negative about debt. I understand how debt can be a multiplier, but it can also pull the company down. So they are, that's something our wavelengths match a lot. So they are very negative about debt on the company. Operationally, they look at what the suppliers say, what the customers say, what the distributors say. If a pharma company, if there are market representatives, what is the average, sales that a MR does? These are very, technical stuff that, an industry insider would probably look at. But the fact that these guys also look at gives me a lot of comfort. I personally recommend Prescient Capital as the first fund to anyone who asks me for advice, right? And there are 2-3 simple reasons why, right? Number one is, of course, returns. Everyone looks at returns over whatever period of time and all that. The returns are superlative. They're better than most other funds that I've invested in. Over a period of time, I am actually shifting more and more capital to Prescient. Currently, I'm probably at about 50-50 or something like that. But going forward, I think we'll be going towards 60 to 70% to Prescient Capital. Second thing is, this whole approachability. For me, it's very important that, the people who are managing my money, I have to have a direct line with them. Most other funds are so large and there are so many layers. I actually don't know what is happening. Sure, everyone gives me, daily this thing. Everyone gives you an online access. You can see how much money you made and all of the good stuff. But, I don't understand how they're thinking. And here, I think I can largely say that I understand how they're thinking and what they are doing. I mean, I don't know the specifics, but I think the large understanding gives me a lot of comfort. So I think in the last 7 years of having been invested with Prescient Capital, so there were 2 times when I called Sonal. One was during the COVID correction and one was February 2025, when things seemed really going down. So, and I just want to say that, at both the times, he was very open about things the way it is. He was neither pushy to stay invested, nor was he saying ki, aur paise dalo. He was telling me the facts the way they are. This is what it is. If you are comfortable, stay invested. He obviously said that, look, this is a temporary phase. You have to stay invested. If possible, you can add in more money. But he was never pushy about either of these things, which again gave me comfort. So both the times I continued to stay invested, and of course the COVID time gave me fantastic returns. Even the February, I think wherever we were in November, October, February, we were down. I was almost slightly below my capital, but now I think we were back to wherever we were in October, November of 2024. So then I spoke to Prescient, I spoke to Sonal, I asked him, Trump tariffs, what is happening? Is the world going to end? Is, India going to become non-competitive? So we had a very long, I won't say long, but very detailed chat wherein he actually told me, which are the sectors which are going to get affected. How is that, exposure on Prescient Capital? X%, I think it was 15% or something is what India exports to the US. And what is our exposure to Prescient Capital? And how something like that is creating a lot of noise in the market, which is causing the entire portfolio to fall. And hence it is temporary, right? If it's a noise on the market, if it's a portfolio related issue, then it's our problem. If it's a noise on the market, it is not our problem. So you need to stay invested. So I had that conversation with Sonal in February, and like I said, now I think we are almost back to the October, November levels. They are super strong on their thesis. I can question them on their thesis for any company as many number of times. And they will give me very fact-related, they're not being defensive about it, they give me very fact-related answers to it, and then I can take a call, whether I'd like to stay investment or not stay invested. You also become more mature about all of this. Learning something theoretically and actually doing it on your own, with your own money, is a very, very different thing. And I think it comes over time. Very religiously, very religiously, every single month I go through their memos. I actually wait for them. Some of the months when they are a little bit late, I actually have sent messages to Sonal asking why is the memo late. So I religiously wait for the memo, simply because it gives me an entire overview of what is happening in the Indian markets, and it's very, very insightful. That is the reason I wait for the memo. Anyone who's ever asked me for advice, I've always recommended Prescient Capital as the first place that they should speak to. I even, the way I tell them is that, look, you don't have to invest money. Speak to Prescient guys, speak to Sonal, Anubhav, see what they have to say, and then make your own call. They have done well for me. So, and everyone has to take their own call. The confidentiality is very important for Prescient. So just as I don't ask them about who else from my friends and family are invested with them, Prescient never tells me what they have invested, and that gives me comfort that they are not going to be talking about what I have invested and what I have made or not made. So confidentiality is also very high up there when it comes to Prescient. So I liquidated once in September of 2023, just before I exited my first company. There was some things that I needed to fix in that company. So the best part about liquidity with Prescient is that I just make a call and the money is in my account in 3 to 4 days. They don't ask me why, they don't try to convince me out of it. They don't do any of the other things that most other funds do, which is a big pain in the ass, right? Everyone else is trying to convince you why you should stay invested. And that's the only time I liquidated. I think I liquidated once in September or October of 2023, but in 6 months, I had actually invested back with a much larger check. My thesis for investment, which again, my wavelength with Prescient does match, is that my first requirement is the liquidity. My second requirement is capital protection, and my third requirement is returns. Returns is not the first thing that I'm looking for, and I'm not asking for a 30% kind of a returns. I want market beating returns, and that's my third: liquidity, capital protection, then followed by returns. That's how I look at when I look at investments. So liquidity is up there, right? Liquidity, I can get, like I said, money in my account in 4 days flat. Capital protection, obviously no fund can give a capital protection, but in the last 6 years, I have never had any issue where my capital has been eroded. Of course, because they're giving me very good returns. These guys have a lot of their own skin in the game. A significant portion of their net worth is also invested in Prescient. So I have a lot of confidence, and over the years I've seen that they never put money behind promoters or founders who are suspect in whatever sense. So that gives me comfort around that my capital is not being deployed in the wrong way.